Ho ho buddies, once Borderline Games. I'm Gareth and today we're playing Chaos Head. Last time, we were in the middle of a disease that leads to slaughter route. It's Kozue time. And so far I think we've got to the point where Kozue's been followed by someone in a vehicle. I can't remember anything else, but I think that's the main thing, right? Let's carry on. Even as Kozue began to stagger away in a fit of tears, the vehicle remained parked, and to the very end, whoever was inside made no attempt to show themselves. Oh yeah, that's right. And now we're back with Takumi. Okay, I have to click to move on. Hey, Nighthawk-kun, we know this is, Kozue, is that his name? I've been waiting for you because there's been another new gen. What are you even on about? New gen, dude, what the fuck do you think I'm on about? Okay, well, we've seen this before. Seventh case. The seventh case! It had happened again. Another new gen. How long was this damn thing going to go on for? Was I next? Would I be the victim of the 8th case? The 9th? Anxiety aside, Grim was pretty much the news guy at this point. He'd been keeping me in the loop about basically everything. Even now he was going out of his way to link a bunch of blog posts and news articles about it. Seemed like he really wanted me to take a look. Biting my lip, I reluctantly clicked the first link. Here we go. Yeah, it's the DQM puzzle. Here it is. All about that stuff that we've seen before, right? At approximately 4:50 this morning, a passing newspaper salesman discovered the bodies of 3 men. Yep, we've done that. The police investigation discovered that the victims were all residents of Shibuya, Fujita. Yeah, you guys get the picture. Each victim has been severed in half at the waist. Their upper and lower bodies were then interchanged with one another and stitched back together with a thread. There were also mysterious wounds carved into their foreheads, and the police are investigating the possibility that they may be a message left by the culprit. The authorities believe the case is part of a new series of grotesque murders that has been occurring in Shibuya over the past 2 months. The investigation is ongoing. Read perfectly. At the end of the news clip, photographs of the 3 victims were shown. I had seen those faces before. Those are the ones that Kozue chopped up. It's them. The guys who beat me up yesterday. I'd given them my wallet, but they'd kicked my ass anyway. I'd then fallen unconscious, and when I woke up, Kozue was beside me. The 3 of them had been collapsed on the ground, covered in blood. I dug my wallet out from my pocket and stared at it intently. When I came to, Kozue had been carrying it, and she'd given it back to me soon after. Could the person who'd killed those 3 be? Hey! No, definitely not. The last time I'd seen them, they'd been beaten to a pulp and covered in blood, but they hadn't been cut in half or anything. Which would mean that they'd been killed after Kozue and I'd left. It had to have been Shogun. That wrinkly asshole was trying to provoke me. Damn it, he really was committed to driving me insane. Just how far was he willing to go? I wanted to vomit. I clutched my stomach as it churned in pain. Was I next? Would I be next to die? It was also possible that Shogun could show up in person again. He seemed to be playing with me like it was some kind of game after all. Maybe he'd feel like sending me on another quest soon. Just the thought alone terrified me. I tried to grasp my D-sword, but even that was just to protect myself from him. Without that sword, how could I ever hope to escape his evil clutches? It felt like he was holding a knife, straight to my throat. Like he was saying I can kill you whenever I please. Please, just let me go. What had I done to deserve this? I couldn't take it anymore. Someone save me. Please. Remy. Where did you go? Weren't you supposed to protect me? No, I couldn't rely on Remy anymore. I'd even gone to school today just to see her, but she hadn't been there. Almost like she was never there to begin with. So I had to find someone else. Someone else who I could rely on to protect me. And the first person that came to mind was Kozue. There she is.
Lately, Shibuya's been getting a lot more dangerous. Like yesterday, some cocky roachis tried to get me, so Kozue crash bang beat him up.
Kozue. She was as far removed from normal as could be and also a pretty big idiot. But because of that, something told me that if I had to depend on her, she might actually hear me out. Upon entering the classroom, I looked toward Remy's seat. There was no one there. Next, I looked over at Kozupi's desk. She was in her seat, face down and huddled up.
Morning, Takumi-chan.
Morning, Kozue. I didn't make eye contact, but I greeted her with my inner voice. The female DQNs were watching me, smirking. Let's move on. It was no different than yesterday. They'd all been labelled me as that otaku freak who said he was psychic and made an ass of himself on TV, and that label wasn't going away anytime soon. Male DQNs didn't seem to have arrived yet. It was pretty common for them to skip first period, and that was fine by me. This is pretty similar to what we've seen in the main timeline, isn't it? But I'm guessing it's gonna diverge somewhere else at some point. Asumiko merely tossed a glance in my direction, not caring enough to greet me. All ties between us were pretty much gone at this point. Then again, it was already pretty strange that he and I had ever been friends at all. Taking a seat, I pretended to fall asleep. Then I called out with my mind. Kozue, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What is it?
I need your help. If I don't get help fast, someone is going to kill me.
Someone's gonna kill you?
Yeah, that's why I want you to protect me. You can use your D-sword.
But first, Takumi-chan, you don't think Kozue is dumb, do you? Do you?
Ooh, exposed.
Ooh-poo, Kozue knew it. Takumi-chan, you're such a meanie head. Well, on the top of that, Kozupi's not going to have to kabang anyone up, will she? You know, there's a certain way Kozue hurts all of the baddies who try to hurt her. She tears them to itty-bitty pieces.
Okay, does everyone around me think I'm stupid? What is this? I'm just a poor innocent otaku who hadn't done anything wrong. All I want is to just shut myself inside my base and spend the rest of my life in there. I swear to God, it's like everything around me is screwing with me. Gah! What the hell? What did I do to deserve this? I've done nothing wrong, I'm a good person. DQNs, they're the bad ones. And Shogun too. Please, Kozue, I need your help. Protect me from them. You even said it yourself the other day. Those cockroaches that say all those horrible things to me, they're even more worthless than I am.
Kozue probably said that. But the problem is, Kozue doesn't know a Mr. Shogun.
I know him all too well. He's this kid that looks like an old man and he rides around in a wheelchair, and one day he's going to show up out of the blue and kill me right then and there. He's the one who stole Nanami away.
Wowie zowie! That really stinks a lot, Takumi-chan.
What, is that really all you have to say?
Kozue wants to kill some baddies, but Seneshan told me that killing people is a big no-no.
Shit, even Kozue was on better terms with Senna than I was. With my head still down on my desk, I gritted my teeth and clenched my fist. What do I do? There's no one I can turn to except Kozue. Senna kinda scares me, and even if she didn't, I doubt she'd have any interest in helping the likes of me. The only one I could really rely on was Kozue. The school bell rang, bringing the day to a close, and me straight out of the classroom. Just like always, the class's token DQNs were making fun of me for the whole Esper debacle. Just today alone, they'd already come after me at least 5 separate times. Seriously, didn't they have anything better to do? Could bullies like them only get their kicks out from picking on? Could bullies like them only get their kicks from picking on others? The hell was wrong with normies? And people thought they were actually human. Don't make me laugh. Shut myself in my base to play ESO, immersing myself in dazzling delusions with Saratan. That was what made me happy. Very happy. God, I was so pissed off. So pissed off, in fact, that I've been doing nothing but cursing out those DQN fucks inside my head this entire time, this entire way home.
Takumi-chan!
I felt Kozue poke my shoulder from behind a few times.
Come on, Mon. Let's go walk home together.
You really have any interest in protecting me?
Mm-hmm. Oh, righto. Takumi-chan, Kozupi's got a present for you.
A present? For me? Look at me. I think I just raised a flag.
Upi? What's a flag?
Oh, it's nothing. Does he mean he got an erection? That's weird.
Well, any hoosies. Right now, Kozupi and Takumi-chan should go somewhere nice and relaxing. Right now!
Somewhere nice and relaxing? Oh, God. Where are we gonna go? Oh, the stairs. I knew it. There are no people around, so the description is pretty spot on. Then again, it is just a staircase, so that only makes sense. So, why is it that I can't seem to calm down? Maybe it's because of that employee downstairs. It feels like he's been keeping a close eye on me. Or maybe it's because Kozue and I are speaking telepathically. We aren't making any noise, so from an outsider's point of view, we probably just look like a bunch of freaks making faces at each other in total silence.
Upu, is Kozupi really a freak?
I mean, when you just stare at people like staying completely silent, what do you expect?
But then, when Kozupi and Takumi-chan talk like this, nobody can hear their secret conversations.
What, these are supposed to be secret?
Nope.
The sheer amount of energy you have really does tire me out. Some things never change, though.
Oop you. Kozupi's really sorry. Kozupi didn't know Kozupi was tiring Takumi-chan out. Kozupi will do her best not to tire Takumi-chan out too much.
Whatever. Can we just go back to what you were saying? Didn't you just say something about a present?
Oh, yeah! So you see, whenever Kozupi makes a new friend, she always gives him a present as a present.
As she spoke, Kozue started rummaging around in her bag.
Back when Kozupi met Senna-chan, Senna-chan got one too. Where is it? Oh, Kozupi knows. Takumi-chan, you want to give Mr. Candy a little licky-lick?
She offered me a piece of candy. Just what the hell did she actually keep in her bag? Candy, I guess. For now, though, I just took the candy, unwrapped it, and popped it in my mouth. It was lemon flavoured. The tangy flavour spread throughout my mouth. Pretty refreshing, honestly. Was that the present, Kozue?
Nope. That's the Mr. Candy that Kozupi's always slurping on at all the times.
And you just expected me to know that?
Okay. Here's Takumi-chan's present for realsies now.
Give me a second to just move Hagrid across onto the other chair. Good girl. There you go. She happily pulled out a number of fanciful accessories from her bag, each one made up of a bunch of colourful beads. The hell are those?
These are Kozupi's CLICKITY. There's bracelets, celery phone straps, rings, hairpins, charms, and much, much more.
Did you make all of these by hand?
Well, no. Kozue tried to make them herself, but when she did, they all broke a lot and got even more extra clickety. So Mummy made all of them for Kozue. Kozue loves beads and super duper whole lot. Loves them so much she calls them all clickety clackities to show it.
Kozue suddenly grabbed my hand. The sheer warmth and softness of it made my heart skip a beat.
Up you! Takumi-san, your heart just jumped up.
Only because it was a surprise attack.
When Takumi-san's heart goes jump, Kozue starts to jump up and down too. Thump thump.
With a smile still on her face, Kozue handed me something made out of beads. Kozue handed me something made out of beads. It was probably a cell phone strap if I had to guess.
This one's for you, Takumi-san.
I don't want it.
Phew. Oh noes, is Kozue imposing? Is she? It's just Kozue gives these to all of her friends. Kozue wants everyone to get a clickety clackety.
With a turn that would give anyone whiplash, Kozue burst into tears. Oof. Why does she have to be so quick to cry all the time? I mean, isn't this something a girl would wear? I'd feel weird putting it on.
Upoo! Kozue gets it now, so Kozupi's just causing problems for Takumi-san by giving Takumi-san a present. Even though Takumi-san's the second ever person Kozupi's ever going to clickety clackety to. Big sniffle.
Depressed as could be, Kozue made to take back the cell phone strap, but I quickly pulled my hand back and jammed it into my jacket pocket.
Takumi-san?
I changed my mind. I'll take it.
Uppy? But why? Why?
She said that she gives a present to all of her friends, yet I'm only the second person to get one. In other words, Kozue must not have any friends. So the first one she gave it to was Senna, no doubt about it. I kind of feel...
Takumi-san feels sorry for Kozue, huh?
Shit, I forgot Kozue can read all my thoughts. But honestly, as much as I feel sorry for you, I think we're actually the same in some ways.
Yeah! Hey, Kozue was actually thinking the same thing about Takumi-san. The first time Kozue went to school, when she saw Takumi-san, she was all like, he looks like he's in a lot of pain. And since Kozue was also in pain a lot, she thought, wow, Kozue and him are the same, and felt a whole lot better.
The same? Huh. It reminds me of what Senna told me about Kozupi's life before she transferred. She and I really are alike. We're both closed off to the world, we're both at the mercy of the malicious entities surrounding us. We both avoid crowds, we both avoid human contact, we're both afraid of people, and we both like hiding away by some dimly lit staircase, making ourselves unnoticeable.
Kozue just wants to live a normal life.
As she played with the clickety-clackety in her hand, Kozue had a faraway look in her eyes.
Kozue wants to make friends and play together, eat lunch together, study together, work really hard to get ready for culture festivals together, talk about love together. A normal life with all that'd be more than enough for Kozue. Kozue had never wished for anything special.
Suddenly the expression on Kozupi's face disappeared, and then she tore apart the clickety-clackety she had been playing with. The beads went everywhere, rolling and tumbling down the stairs. I've been thinking the same thing. Why am I the only one that has to suffer like this? I always ask myself, what did I do to deserve this?
Kozue did a thing to deserve it, you know. A bad thing.
Kozue stuck out her tongue and her smile came back. A bad thing? Do you mean the thing where you cut off your classmates' arms, or... I mean, that sounds pretty bad.
It's when Kozue wished to kill. Kozue wished that she could really kill someone that ever bullied her.
You really are pretty twisted.
But wishing for a bad thing isn't a bad thing in the end, and it's in the and itself, in and of itself, right? Right? Haha. Does Takumi-chan think that wishing for bad things is bad? Because it's bad, wishing for bad is bad. Bad. Babbard. It's super duper bad. Huh. Well, back on topic. Negative emotions are not something to be repudiated. That's what this strange old person with the board said. And cause Kozue wished for the bad thing, Kozupi's sword became a power for Kozue. And Kozupi's D-sword protects her now. So, since Kozue has it, Kozue doesn't need to be normal or anything anymore.
Are you sure? Have you really given up trying to live a normal life? Are you sure that's what you want? That you won't regret it?
Kozue doesn't like things that are annoying. And the world's filled only with baddies anyway too.
What about Senna? You think she's a bad person too?
Senna-chan is Kozupi's friend. She's not a bad person.
The voice of Kozupi's heart sounded incredibly happy.
Neither is Takumi-chan. You're all clickety-clackety friends too.
If we all could think like Kozue does, life would probably be a whole lot easier. Or is the reason Kozue thinks this way because she was broken at some point in the past? That's not really something I can answer. While I might complain all the time about the world around me, inside my head, that is, at the end of the day, all I want is for someone to help me. That's all I ask. While I may have thought we were similar, I guess Kozue and I really are different.
Nope. Kozue and Takumi-chan are the same.
For some reason I didn't understand. Kozue seemed very convinced of that. She then vigorously stood up.
Alrighty. Time for us to go home.
As soon as that left her mouth, Kozue raced down the stairs. And then in a display that was very in character for her, she slipped and fell on the very last step. The inside of Roft was as packed as ever. With a slight limp, Kozue made her way through the building. There were tears in her eyes. Are you okay?
Don't worry, Kozupi's used to falling over. Falling rover.
Kozue flashed a brave smile. But that smile quickly faded. Kozue stopped dead in her tracks and her gaze shot straight behind me. When I glanced over my shoulder to see what she was looking at, I saw a bunch of mirrors for sale. Everything from hand mirrors to full-on dresses were on display. Oh yeah, the guy from the car had like a hand mirror. With a stiff expression, Kozue looked away from the mirrors, then started to quickly walk away.
See you tomorrow, Takumi-chan.
The voice of her heart held not even a trace of the energy from before. Sounds like that girl's got trauma. I ran after Kozue, but I had taken too long to do so, and now I couldn't see her anywhere. I hadn't said anything to her about wanting us to leave together, but she was the only person I had left. Losing her started to make me freak out, and I could feel the anxiety starting to well up. Being all by myself, especially in the center of Shibuya, I really didn't like it. The mere sight of the human stampedes moving along caused sweat to bead all over me. So, knowing I couldn't take it, I gave up on trying to find Kozue and decided to hurry back to my base. What was that? I'd heard something. The loud clicking sound of a camera shutter. I shifted my gaze toward the sound, but I couldn't see anyone with a camera. That was when I realised. The sound hadn't been an actual camera, but a cell phone. That explained why the sound had been so clear. And yet, despite that realisation, I still couldn't locate anyone that was pointing a cell phone at me. Oops. Sorry, guys. Just had to scratch my head and apparently punch the mic. Was I just too on edge? No, that couldn't be it. My social suicide would have been incredibly well known throughout Japan, especially considering how much people freaked out over espers. So it wouldn't have been all that strange if there were people who found it amusing to snap random photos of me. The streets were overflowing with people. Well, at least none of them were looking at me. Don't look at me. Biting my lip, I continued dragging myself forward. I hung my head as low as possible so as to not be recognised. There it is again. There it was again, that's what I said. Someone had taken a photo of me again, and this time I knew for a fact I'd felt their gaze on me. And it wasn't the usual God's gaze, but a gaze harbouring nothing but pure malice. I looked around, and yet after all that there was still no one there. Who the hell are you? Sneaking photos like a goddamn peeping Tom? I'll sue the fuck out of you for violating the rights to my likeness. But it wasn't like they were ever going to hear me cursing them out inside my head. Oh, cursing them out inside my head, I see. And I very much didn't have the courage to say it out loud. Even if I did, it'd only bring more attention to me. I went back to walking. This time I doubled my speed, weaving as best I could between the herds of pedestrians clogging the road. The sounds only got worse. The shutters continued to chase me. Then I thought I heard someone giggle. I looked around again. There were a number of people holding their cell phones at eye level. A middle-aged businesswoman, a woman in a suit, a high school boy and some DQN girl. A pretty varied selection. As I moved, they would move their phones in an attempt to follow me. Don't look at me. Don't take pictures of me. I couldn't take it anymore, so I took off running in another direction, but it didn't matter how long I ran. It didn't matter how far I ran. It didn't matter how many people I threaded the needle through. The sound always found me. The gaze always caught up to me. Every time I thought I got away from the noise, it always started up once again. In my head, it was like my enemies were multiplying without end. Eventually, I ran into a red light, forcing me to stop. Planting my head on my knees, I tried as best I could to catch my breath, all while the noise of the shutters persisted. My gaze trained downward. I clenched my fists as I tried to stomach the humiliation. That was all I could really do at that point. Suddenly a thought occurred to me. Was this noise really being produced by such a large, unknown number of people? Wouldn't they all be taking way too many photos? Sure, I was basically a celebrity now, but I wasn't famous, I was infamous. Photos of me wouldn't be worth jack shit. I'd say most people considered me to be a walking piece of trash at this point, so I just couldn't get over how strange it was that the world had picked today of all days to start taking all these photos of me. And they weren't even hiding it either. Was it Shogun? Was he orchestrating this attack on me right now? Ugh, just leave me alone already. What the hell have I ever done to you? What the fuck is your problem? I want to kill him. After breaking me completely while he watched from the shadows, he was finally going to kill me once and for all. This malicious harassment wouldn't be enough. I would be the next New Gen case, murdered in some horrible, grotesque fashion. Therefore, I have to kill him before he kills me. I grabbed my head with both hands. I had a pounding headache. And yet, despite it all, I still didn't feel God's gaze. Despite the countless photos being taken via cell phones, Shogun's typical gaze wasn't following me at all. I want to kill him. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The rapid snapping of camera shutters completely disappeared. Surprised, I started to look up, only to hear a sound that I had heard many times before. Right behind me, within the silence, came a quiet, creaking noise that I would never have heard otherwise. I sensed a presence. Someone in a wheelchair was right behind me. But who? I laughed at my own wishful thinking. Their identity was obvious. Shogun. It was him. Shogun! Shogun, show yourself! Ah! Ignoring the red light entirely, I leapt onto this crosswalk. I'm going to be run over. My ears were assailed by a chorus of horns, and one vehicle was on the brink of running me over before just barely managing to screech to a halt. But I couldn't look back now. I had to keep running as hard as I possibly could. Be back at the base. Yes. Even though I'd made it back to my base, I was still haunted by the sound of those shutters. Moving to a nearby residential area hadn't helped either. Even though it had been entirely deserted, I could still hear the endless clicking and clacking of the shutters. It was as if they'd been seared into my very eardrums. Every person I passed would take out their phone just to get a shot of me. Not one of them said, "Oh wow, please let me shake your hand," or "Ew," as I moved past them. No one even as much as grinned at me. Nothing but expressionless faces taking pictures with their cell phones. So I just continued to walk past them, pretending like they weren't even there. Clearly something strange was going on. I didn't sense even a hint of malice nor ill will from them. It felt entirely mechanical. Yeah, kind of like automata. Except in this case, there was someone actively controlling them. I sat in the corner of my room, legs gripped tightly against my chest as I curled up into a ball. All I could do was continue to grind my teeth out of sheer frustration. It was all of him. It was all him. It was all Shogun's doing. While en route to my base, I'd heard it. The sound of a creaking wheelchair. I'd only heard it once, and I hadn't turned around to check, but there was still no doubt in my mind. My hands just wouldn't stop trembling. Glancing at the time, I realised it was already 11 PM. I've spent 5 hours scared shitless. Letting out a deep sigh, I lashed out at him, inside my head. "I hope you die. I hope you die. I hope you die. I hope you die." The worst part about Shogun was that he didn't kill you quickly. He'd gently wrap a silk cord around your neck, and over time he would slowly tighten that cord before eventually you would suffocate. And because of that, because I knew exactly how he was, anxiety flared up within me and I began to dread even going outside. Help me, Kozue. I can't fight Shogun on my own. I don't even have my own D-sword. There's nothing I can do. Kozue, why won't you help me? I had to think. Somehow, I had to come up with a way for Kozue to protect me. She could read my mind, so I definitely couldn't lie to her. Then, what about money? Would she help me if I offered her compensation? Oh, that noise just now. With a horrible gulp, I squeezed myself into an even tighter ball and strained my ears for the slightest sound. I just hallucinated it. Yeah, that was the obvious answer. I hadn't hallucinated it. It was the sound of a wheelchair. I could hear it coming from outside. I immediately held my breath and strained my ears even harder, trying desperately to hear any noise coming through the wall. There it was. He was outside. Wait. Maybe I was just imagining it. Maybe I just was imagining him slowly moving closer and closer to me. I wasn't just imagining it. He was wheeling around the outside of the container. Huh. I'd heard his voice. It was Shogun's laugh. He was laughing. In the dead of night, he was sitting outside my container in his creaky little wheelchair, laughing. But it didn't end there. The very next second, I heard the sound of a cell phone's camera shutter. Had Shogun taken a picture? What had he taken a picture of? The container? No. It wasn't just Shogun. There were other people there. And not just 2 or 3. It felt like there was at least 10. They were all taking pictures with their phones in perfect unison. The sound of the shutters echoed off the walls and coiled into my ears. This wasn't possible. A delusion like this was just that. A delusion. If I peeked outside, surely nobody would be there. It was all just some simple hallucination. Sure, the container walls were pretty thin, but there was still no way I should have been able to hear the shutters of or the laughter, or the wheelchair, and definitely not this clearly. I didn't have the courage to go outside and check for myself. Fear overwhelming me, I burst into tears and wrapped a blanket around my head in an attempt to cover my ears. Don't come in. 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 how much time had passed. It's only been about 10 minutes, but it felt more like 10 hours. I threw off the blanket and got up as quietly as I possibly could. I listened very carefully. I didn't hear anything outside. All I could hear was the sound of my PC. So it really had just been a hallucination. Yeah, it had to have been. Just to be sure, though, I should check outside. There was no way anyone was out there, but still. Even if someone had been there, surely they wouldn't be there anymore. And we'll find out next time on Borderline Games if anyone is outside of Takumi's trailer. Next time on Chaos Head. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Chaos Head, and I will see you next time. Have a good evening. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.